Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. To get to know Blessed Father Justin, soon to be Saint Justin, we have to know his main work, his main mission in the Church. That is the foundation of the Society of Divine Vocation, or Vocationist Fathers and Vocationist Sisters. Justin started with the understanding, with the principle that we as Christians can do many good things, many works of charity, many works of mercy, but if we do them as an individual person, when we die, those good works come to an end. While if we organized in a group, in an association, in a society, or in a religious congregation, those works of charity that we promote and practice will continue after us. So since from the beginning of his life he has been concerned about vocations, he knew that it was not enough for him personally to do this work. He wanted to create an institution, a religious congregation that would continue after his passing to eternity the work of searching, cultivating, forming, encouraging, sustaining vocations to the priesthood and religious life in particular, because again, to reach our universal call or vocation to holiness, we do need the ministry of priests and consecrated people. And so when someone asked Father Justin, when did the Society of Divine Vocations really start? Father Justin said, the idea was born with me, meaning that has been always in his mind. And when we read his Book of the Soul, or Spiritual Diary, we see the intimate union he feels with the Society of Divine Vocations. And even his prayers are often going from I into we, from me to us, talking as the head of this mystical body, little mystical body that is the congregation, as he being the head and we being his members. The Society of Divine Vocation practically started on April 30, 1914, 1 year after the ordination of Father Justin. He made the first tentative of community life by uniting 3 of his children, the most faithful, from the group of catechism that he was teaching during the summer vacation, and he united them in his house and started living together, praying together, and was a dream for him and for the children. There were only 3, Salvatore Polverino, Giorgio Sagiomo, and Giorgio Mele, who then all 3 became vocationist priests later on. But this first tentative of religious community lasted only 2 weeks, because as soon as word reached the Bishop of Pozzuoli, the bishop immediately ordered him to stop this experiment. He had to stop, and naturally, being an obedient son, he told the children, we are sons of the cross, we have to bury the cross, and the cross of obedience wants us to stop this tentative. But stopping this tentative of community life did not stop his zeal or his desire for cultivating vocation. He started preparing these 3 candidates and others to learn some Latin so that they would be able to be admitted to the seminary later on. And in 1919, 3 of them were sent to the seminary of Pozzuoli at the expenses of Father Justin. But naturally, Justin had no resources himself. So he established what was called the pious sodality, or pious union of consecrated women who consecrated themselves as slaves of Mary, whose objective was to not only to tend to their own sanctification, but also to procure the material means for candidates to the priesthood that they were sustaining. And so the pious union, in a way, is more close to the real foundation of the congregation, because the members of this pious union, at least many of them, later on became vocationist sisters. After his ordination, Father Justin was sent first to the seminary of Pozzuoli to serve as prefect of discipline and teacher. But after a few months, he had to be transferred to Pianura because of poor health condition. And so, being in Pianura from 1914 to 1918, when he was called to serve in the army during the First World War I, he cultivated both young men and young women in their sense of vocation, dedication to God, and service. In 1920, the Bishop of Pozzuoli was transferred to the See of Naples, and suddenly the pastor of Pianura died. And so the apostolic administrator begged Father Justin to apply for the pastorship of the Church of St. George, giving him full freedom and permission to establish the community life. And so on September 20, 1920, Father Justin was installed as parish priest of St. George Parish, which was the only parish in Pianura. And on October 18, 1920, he started officially, with the blessings and permission of the bishop, the community life with 12 youngsters, 12 candidates. And again, it's very important to realize that of these first 12 students, 11 became vocationist priests. And nowadays, the Society of Divine Vocation counts over 500 priests, and is spread throughout 5 continents, 18 countries, and continues to grow with God's blessings and with the assistance and the blessings of Father Justin, bringing the message that the harvest is always plenty, but the laborers are scarce, and that therefore we keep not only praying but working that more and more people every day will respond to God's calling.